lie down, you want to keep your feet on the floor or stretch out. You know, that depends on how you feel, how your back feels. But just close your eyes and let yourself feel that support of the ground underneath you. If you feel you want to let your hands just rest gently on your belly, you can feel the belly rise and fall with your breath. Bring our right knee on in towards our chest and extend our left leg down long on the floor. Just gently draw your toes back on both feet, flex the feet, feel that energy up into your hips there. And feel your leg gently pressing into your hands. And then we'll switch, so letting the left leg come in and stretching the right leg down long. And again, feeling as you draw your toes up and feel the feet flex, really feel that sense of releasing that left leg into your hands. Good, and then bring both feet back to the floor. Let's cross our right ankle above our left knee and flex through that right foot. And if you're able to draw that left foot off the floor, go ahead and draw your thigh in towards you, clasping behind your thigh. Flexing through both feet. You know, if you need to leave your left foot on the floor, do. And then let the left foot come up a little higher so your leg's not as deeply bent if possible. And circle that foot around a little bit. Just let that left foot circle. Try to just isolate there, moving through the ankle, reversing direction of the circle. And then release and bring the foot back down to the floor. We're going to uncross and we're going to switch and cross the left ankle above the right knee. And again, if you're able to draw that foot off the floor and clasp behind your right thigh, do. Flexing through both feet. Waking up the hips. And then if you can let the right foot come up a little bit higher, and then circle a little bit again with this foot now. Circling in one direction. And when you're ready to switch, you just switch and go the other. And then come back to flexing through both feet here. And we'll lower the right foot down. We're going to uncross our legs. And let's bring our right knee in towards our chest again. This time extend your left leg long. And bring your left hand over to your right knee. Draw the knee over to the left in towards a little twist. Doesn't have to be far. That totally depends on you. Let yourself come on over as far as feels good. If you want to turn your head to look to the right, you can add that neck into the picture there, your upper back. Just releasing. And then we'll come on back into center again with the knee. And we're going to switch to bring the left knee in and extend the right leg down long on the floor. And again, as the right hand comes to that left knee, stretch your left arm out. Bring the knee across to the right. And you are more than welcome to turn your head if that feels really good to the left. And again, how deeply you go across the body into that twist is up to you. Good. One more breath. And then we'll come on back into center again and bring both knees on into your chest. Let the knees circle in one direction. So they circle in the same direction. You're kind of outlining your sacrum there on the ground. And then just stop and reverse and go the other way, letting yourself release that direction. bring your knees on back into center. If you're able to, lift your head up and bring your face in towards your knees. Do it. If that bothers your neck, don't do it. Kind of curling up into a little ball. And then go ahead and release your head down. Extend your legs up in the air. And just let your legs go back and forth. Like you're doing that cross-country skiing motion there on the ceiling. And if you want the lower leg to go down farther towards the ground, you can. Just stay very stable in your pelvis. You know, you'll feel your belly, your low back. Good. And then finish off, bring your knees on back into your chest. And you can decide if you want to roll to your side to come up to sitting, or maybe you like to roll onto your back and roll up to sitting that way. It is totally up to you. You know, you want to be mindful of what feels good to you. And come to sit however's comfortable, cross-legged if you can, but if you need to stretch your legs out, do. Sit up nice and tall here for a second. And then start to feel that sense of the navel making these little circles in one direction. So you keep the circles going in the same direction. Inhaling as the navel comes forward. Exhaling as you draw the navel back towards the spine. You can keep your hands wherever's comfortable. You can get bigger and bigger with the circles if you want. Or you can stay really small. Really feeling the breath here. We're going to stop and go the other direction. So when you're ready, reverse those circles, go the other way, and again, let your breath lead you. Whether you let the circles be very small or you get bigger and bigger. And then finish off the one you're on so we can come back to sitting nice and tall. And let your arms come on out beside you here now. And then walk your fingertips back just a little bit. Just stay up on your fingertips though. Think of your chest coming forward. If you want to draw your chin up a little bit and look up, do. Just be mindful of your neck. Let yourself open across the chest here. See if you can imagine you're breathing into your lungs equally from the bottom to the top. And then we'll release to come into bringing our left arm on top of our right and giving ourselves a hug here. And you can come forward just a little bit with your hug going on here, coming forward from the low back, flexing into your feet. Or you may decide you want to go into that whole full eagle wrap, right? That is up to you. So when you come forward, you can kind of decide whether you want to wrap or whether you want to let yourself stay hugging. Good, and then we'll rise to come on back up, unwrap our arms here. We're going to go the other arm on top, so give yourself a hug the other way. And again, start to come forward first. And then if you're like, well, I think it sounds really great to head into that full eagle wrap, you can, but you don't need to. Flexing through the feet, coming forward from the low back, feeling the hips here. Good, one more breath. We're going to come on all the way back up. We're going to unwrap our arms. Remember which leg you have in front, because we're going to lean back and we're going to come into just a little boat pose. Let yourself balance there for a second. Did somebody come in?
I thought, but I think they left.
Aww, why would they leave? And then come and let your other leg come in front for your seated forward bend now. Bringing yourself on forward. Take your time. Let yourself come on forward from your low back. And you know, if you want to keep on going and you really like to fold over your legs and let your head hang, by all means do. Nice easy breaths. Let go through your face, let go through your jaw. And then we're going to slowly make our way on back up. Fingertips out onto the floor beside us. And let's inhale our right arm. I'm going to mirror you all the way out and up overhead and come over into side stretch here. So for a second, turn to look up and turn your palm where it looks up towards the ceiling. If it bothers your neck to look up anymore, don't do it. But if you can keep looking up a little bit, do. One more breath there, really pressing up into that heel of your hand a little bit. And then we're going to rise on back up, and we're going to go to the other side. So coming on up with that left arm. And then again, as you come into the side stretch here, kind of press up. If you can look up a little bit, do. Press up into the heel of the hand. Feel more space between the ribs there. Waking up through the side body. And then we're going to rise all the way back up again, lowering our arms beside us here now. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down to be in front of our chest, lengthening up through the top of your head. And we'll come on down with our hands here now. Shake it out. We're going to make our way around to hands and knees. So let yourself come on around and be mindful. Let your hands be on blankets if you need, or your knees on blankets if you need. Take your time, get situated there. Wag your tail around if you want to. And then just start to flow through your back. When you're ready to move through your cat-cows, take your own time. Moving slowly, moving quickly, whatever feels really good for you. Waking up the spine here now, but really feeling that initiation with the tailbone being the first thing that moves. Good, and we'll finish off the one we're on. And let's look over to the right and rise our right arm up. Now, if it can go higher and higher and higher, do. That's totally up to you and your shoulder. And then we're going to come on down, thread the needle. So threading your arm behind and that left wrist and coming on down to the side of your head. You can reach your left arm overhead, or you can keep your hand right in front of your face there, just whatever feels good for your shoulders. And just breathe. And then left hand is going to come in front of your face so you can press your way right on back up to all fours. And this time look left and let the left arm come on up and higher if you choose. You know that depends on your shoulder. And then as you thread the needle with that arm coming on down to the side of your head, you decide, do you want to keep your hand by your face? Does it feel good to stretch it long overhead? And then just release here into between the shoulder blades on your back. Good. One more breath. And then let your right hand come by your face again. We're going to press on up. You might want your blocks. We're going to step our left foot forward. We're going to keep our left knee down for a second and just shift our way forward. If you need a blanket underneath your right knee, use it. Let yourself just open up there through the front of the right hip. And then we'll shift our hips back, and we're going to come out over that front leg. So just let yourself wake up the back of that left leg here. We'll just stay here for a couple of breaths. Good, and now we're going to come forward again and do the same thing. Pressing into the top of the right foot, letting ourselves open up there into the front of the hip. And then again, we'll shift back and let that left leg come long and extend out over the leg. And you can be up as high as you want. You know that. Good. Now bring that left foot on back because we're going to step the right foot forward. Keep the left knee down and shift your hip forward. So coming into that back knee down lunge. Pressing into the top of the foot. Waking up now in the front of the left hip. And then let your hip shift back, come into that longer front leg, and let yourself come out over that front leg now to open up into the back of the leg. Feel the heel on the ground. Draw the heel back towards you a little bit. One more breath. And we're going to come forward again. So letting yourself again shift with your hips. And let yourself press into the top of the toes back there. And then one more time we'll shift back and come out over that front leg, coming into the hamstring there. Good. And then from here, bring that knee back. Let's step our left foot forward again. And this time let's come on up into lunge. Back knee up off the floor, finding whatever height you want to be with your hands in your lunge. And draw your shoulders down, away from your ears. Press your feet away from each other like you're trying to lengthen your mat. Feel the hips engaging there. And we're going to switch legs. We're coming to the other side. Taking your time again to feel that engagement of pressing the feet away from each other. Remember, you want to be like you're on very narrow railroad tracks. Don't line up your feet. Let yourself feel comfortable in your hips there. And we'll step forward, coming into standing forward bend from here, getting our feet hips distance apart and parallel. So you know, you use whatever support you want. You can have your hands on your blocks. You can let your hands go to the floor. You can put your elbows above your knees if that feels better for your back. So just be very mindful about how your back is feeling. And just let the pose do the work for you. Let the backs of the legs just gently start to feel a little more released. Remember, your knees can be bent. You can think about keeping your sitting bones over your heels, but if you want to come straighter legged, you can let your legs straighten out. Just make sure you're not locking your knees, jamming back into your knees. And see if you can feel your head. Just maybe nod your head a little bit, maybe even shake your head a little bit. No. So one more breath here. And then as our hands come up to our hips now, we're going to press equally into our feet and rise up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Finding our mountain pose. Maybe it feels just really nice to have your head up here on top and to get your pelvis aligned. And to feel equal through your feet. Feeling the support of the air all around you, really. And then we'll let our arms unfold on down beside us and inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, fold forward from your hips, coming into your standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find a nice long flat back. And we'll step the right foot back and come into lunge. And inhale. Exhaling into a downward facing dog pose. Spread those fingers wide, hug your elbows towards each other, reach back through your sitting bones, and let your next inhale carry you on out to a plank. Strong plank. Try not to drop into your belly. Feel your sitting bones reaching for your heels. And now come on back to dog. Let yourself reach all the way back into your dog. Remember, you can bend your knees if you like. Hug those elbows towards each other. We're going to do that again. Come on out to plank. And to lower down, you decide whether you want to put your knees down first or go through a full push-up, elbows right by the ribs. And from here, come up into a little tiny cobra. Just your chest, your head. Hug your elbows in towards each other. Don't really put any weight into your hands here for a second. And feel the tops of the toes on the floor. And then lower your chest and your head down, forehead to the floor. Bend both your knees, flex your feet, pull your heels in towards your buttocks, just, with your leg muscles. And then extend your legs on back down long again, and we'll come up to that cobra again. If you want to go higher and higher, you're more than welcome to. All right, you can stay low in the one we were in, or you can press up higher, elbows hugging in towards the ribs. We're going to slowly lower back down, elbows still in towards the ribs. And we're going to come back to down dog, however you choose to get there. Through a half or a full push-up. Spread your fingers nice and wide. So you feel as equal as you can between your hands. And even like each finger feels equally into the ground. And this time we'll bring the right foot forward. to find lunge, however you need to get that there. And then we'll come back into standing forward bend, feet hips distance apart and parallel. Now if you can, it doesn't matter whether you're supporting above your knees or blocks or hands down, lift all your toes up and maybe even think of spreading them out a little bit. So you can actually use your fingers to help a little bit if you want to massage your toes a little bit or help them find a little more space. Good, and then slowly, just let the toes release gently down to the floor. And enjoy a couple of breaths wherever you want your hands to be now. You can hold your elbows, you can put your hands behind your legs, you can put your elbows above your knees, of course. And then we'll let our hands come on up to our hips. We're going to press into our feet and rise up and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Find your mountain pose here. Feel equal between your feet and the floor. And let your next inhale rise your hands up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms and come on back to standing forward bend. And on your next inhale, find a nice long flat back. And this time left foot comes back into lunge. And inhale, exhale into down dog. Good. Let's come on out to plank. Let's do a little side plank. Now, that can be done fully, or you can put your left knee down. Use your left foot as a kickstand. We're going to shift to our left hand and come on into a little side plank or a variation thereof. So you can do full side plank or you can have that knee down. Let yourself just enjoy feeling the strength. And then come on back into your plank here. Find your plank. Walk a little bit in that plank here. Bend a knee at a time. But try to stay really stable in your pelvis. And then come back to your full plank. We're going to do the other side. So right hand is going to support you. If you want to put your right knee down, do. You can extend up that arm and you can let that top foot float up. Especially if you have the knee down, you might want to do that. Just enjoy. One more breath. And then coming on back again into plank here. Walk a little bit again. Find your full plank, and we're going to lower down. So again, knees first if you need, elbows right by the rib. And let's come onto our forearms. Let yourself come right onto your forearms into a sphinx. Doesn't matter how high, you know that. You can slide your elbows towards your waist or have them farther in front of you if that's better for your back. But just breathe. Let yourself settle down here. Good. And then as you come down, stretch your arms towards the front corners of your mat, like a Y V with your arms. Rest your forehead on the floor, and then on your next inhale, float everything you can up off the floor. A little locust pose, but with your arms up overhead like this. Feeling the back body. One more breath. And then bring your hands back by your chest. We're going to press into child's pose from here. Shifting ourselves back with the hips and let your arms stay overhead. Breathe into your low back. Remember, you don't have to shift all the way back with the hips. It depends on your knees. And then let's walk our hands over to the right. Go kind of as far as you can with your hands to the right. And then pick your left hand up and put it on top of your right hand. So you get just a little more there. Breathing into the left side. And then come back through center. Walk your hands back through center. And we're going to go as far to the left as we can. Once you get there, get your right hand to go right over to the top of your left hand. And keep it there. And stay and breathe. And then we'll come back into center again. Couple of breaths into your low back. Let your elbows soften if you can. Good. And then on the next inhale, we're going to come up to all fours and curl our toes under and reach back into down dog. Walk your dog just a little bit. And then we'll bring our left foot forward to find lunge. And then we'll come all the way back into our standing forward bend. Right to your breaths. So don't even think about it. Let your hands go wherever they want. You know, they might want to go up on your back. They might want to go onto your elbows. Your hands might want to clasp behind your head. You might want to use blocks. Or you might want to slip your hands under your feet on you. Follow those breaths all the way in and all the way out. And as we now bend our knees, we're going to press equally into our feet, coming on up to standing, and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Find your mountain pose now. See if you can separate your hands a tiny little bit where they're really not quite touching anymore. But then when you do reconnect the fingers and whatever part of the palms touch, it's a very, very light touch. But still, it is that connection, that very light connection. One more breath here. And as we unfold our arms back on down beside us, we're going to inhale the arms all the way out and up. And let your exhale carry you forward, moving with our breath here now. Let your next inhale lengthen your spine. And exhale, right foot back to lunge. And inhale, exhale into your down dog. And let your inhale bring you to your plank. Let your exhale lower you down. And inhale into your Cobra of choice. Exhaling back into down dog. Inhale, exhale right foot forward to lunge. And inhale, exhale to your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising all the way to the top with your breath. And let your exhale bring you forward. Inhale, nice long back. And exhale, left foot back to lunge. And inhale. Exhale into down dog. Inhale your way up to your plank. Exhaling, lowering down. And inhale into that Cobra of choice. Exhaling back to down dog. Inhale. Exhale, left foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale to your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising all the way to the top. And let your exhale carry you forward. Inhale, nice long back. We're going to find down dog. Hands down, walk or jump your feet back. Take your time, find your dog, walk a little bit, wag your tail around if you want to. All right, just kind of move the way you need. Feel your hands in the floor, feel your elbows hugging in. Nice. And we're going to go ahead and bring our left foot forward. And we're coming up for Warrior 2. You might want your blocks handy there, so get comfortable there with the length of your stance, with the turnout of that back foot, right? How much you send your heel back is up to you. And then bend that front knee. Take a look. Make sure everything looks okay there with your alignment. Dropping that outer left hip down. And then let your hands come to meet in front of your chest. And come into your prayer hands. If you're able to close your eyes, briefly do. If it makes you uncomfortable, don't do it. And then we're going to inhale our hands right up through the midline and open the arms and turn the palms down as you come into your Warrior 2 arms. Reaching out through the fingertips. Feeling very soft in the tops of your shoulders. As you press your feet gently away from each other, feel the hips. Let yourself find that gaze right out over the top of that left hand. Energy out through the fingertips. And we're going to fold that right arm behind us if you can. Don't do it if that's too much for your shoulder. Turn the left palm up and inhale and reach up towards the sky. Really feeling that breath coming into the left side of the body. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we're going to come into side angle, bringing that left forearm or hand to your thigh. Now keep your right hand behind you for just a second. Look at the floor and turn your left palm up as you press into that left forearm. And then draw your right shoulder towards the ceiling and look towards the long edge of your mat. And now from here, stretch your right arm down and let it swing in front of your body, and then rising it up into line if you can with the right side of the body. Now, you know, if you like to go lower, you can put your left hand down on a block. You can get lower down if you want. or the floor, totally up to you. Lengthen through both sides of the body. Feel that sense of drawing your outer left hip down and back a little bit. Lines up the knee. Beautiful. One more breath. We're going to come on back to Warrior Two, pressing those feet away from each other as we come. And then let your hands come on down gently. Turn your feet more parallel. But we're actually going to turn our heels forward and do just a little goddess, okay? Don't make it deep. Bend your knees a tiny little bit. Just a little bit. And think about your knees coming out over the center of your feet, right? And then float your arms up and bend your elbows to 90 degrees. Let yourself feel like really balanced here in your goddess pose. Balance from your feet all the way up through your legs into your hips. Same thing, your shoulders up through your arms into your hands. And the next time you inhale, you're going to straighten everything out and become like a letter X. Let yourself really lengthen out. Reach up through the fingertips. And now exhale, bend the knees and the elbows again. Come back into that goddess. And don't go real deep. And again, inhale, letting yourself really come into that letter X. And then as you exhale, bend both your knees. Stay here for just a breath. And now the next time you exhale, bring your hands and your forearms together in front of you. It's like you're folding your arms in. And then when you inhale, you're going to open them back out. So exhale, bringing the arms and forearms and elbows towards each other in front of you. And then inhale and open them out wide. And then one more time, letting yourself fold those arms in. And then open on back out. Good. Letter X again. Straighten up really, really nice and tall. You can even lift your heels up if you want. And then we're going to lower heels down, hands down, turn our feet more parallel. And we're going to come on forward into wide-legged forward bend. You know, grab blocks if you need them. Take your time. Once you get there, if you want to bend a knee at a time, by all means do. So just be mindful of doing what feels like it's going to make it easier for you to adjust into this pose, right? How far apart your feet are. You can adjust that too. And then from here, take your time, walk over towards your right, and you don't have to go all the way. You can have your blocks in front of your foot. You can walk all the way to hold the outside of your ankle or your foot. But just stay and breathe. Let your body have time to adjust. Good, and then we'll walk back through center, and we're going to go the other side. So again, you can be on blocks. You can be in front of your foot. You may decide you want to hold on to the outside of your ankle with both your hands. But just again, give the body time. And then walk on back into center again. And start to set yourself up. Do you want to use some blocks underneath your forearms? Or maybe you know, it's fun for you to put your head on a block or blocks. Maybe you want to hold your ankles, or maybe you want to have your hands between your feet, or maybe you need to be out in front with your forearms on blocks or your hands on blocks, right? So only you know how the pose feels to you in your back, in your hips. Now if you can, press your feet gently away from each other like you're trying to lengthen your mat, and imagine your inner thighs melting their way behind you. Feel the arches of the feet lifting up. So you want to make sure you're not rolling either to the outside or the inside of your feet. And then just breathe. Just watch and be with your own breath. Following the breath all the way in and all the way out. Letting your upper body become as released as you can. You know you're welcome to come into Ujjayi breathing if that helps you to feel the breath coming through your throat. Good. One more nice full deep breath here. we are going to come out so we can walk back over to that left foot. Come on back into our lunge, and we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose. From here, get yourself comfortable, walk if you need to, go to the tops of the feet, and then come on out either for a Kriya or a Vinyasa. So you might want to come to plank and go right back to dog. You might want to come through plank into an up dog, or you might want to go through Chaturanga and come into your up dog from down, right? So you play. You can do as many or as few as you want. You don't have to do them at all, and you know that. You can let yourself put your knees down anytime you choose. Good. So finish off the one you're doing, and then we'll meet back in downward facing dog pose. And we'll bring our right foot forward this time. We're coming up for warrior two on the other side. So get those heels lined up and get that alignment of the front knee and the length of your stance where you feel really good to bend that front knee out over the center of your foot. Releasing, if you put your thumb right there at your hip hinge and wrap your fingers around your leg and kind of gently encourage that downward motion, that lines that knee up really well. And then if you can let your hands just come to meet in front of your chest and feel very, just a basic pose here, feel very balanced if you can, between your feet, your hips, up through into your shoulders, your arms, and even your hands as you have that gentle touch of the hands together. Now keep your hands together and inhale them right up through the midline. And as you exhale, open the arms, start to float the palms downward as you come into your warrior two arms. Reaching out through the fingertips, feeling the feet pressing gently away from each other on the mat. Really softening the tops of the shoulders. Good, we're going to fold that left arm, if possible, behind us, or just lay it on your leg and turn your right palm up and inhale and reach up. Nice full reach up through the fingertips. And you can even go back farther if you want. One more inhale. And on your exhale, keep that left hand behind you as you come into side angle. So again, it can be your hand or your forearm on your leg. If you're on your forearm, look down and turn your palm up of that right hand. Spread your fingers a little bit. Now when you get ready to press into that right arm or hand and turn that left shoulder up towards the ceiling, keep your hand back for a second, just to let yourself feel your shoulder there. And then when you're ready, extend the arm down on your leg and then swing the arm in front of your chest and let it come right up into line, into your side angle pose there. And if you want to go lower with your hand, that right hand can go down to a block. You can go lower if you want. Feel that extension out through the top of the head. Now by pressing into your arm or your hand there, man, it makes it so easy to lengthen through both sides of the body, doesn't it? We're going to come on back into warrior two, pressing those feet away from each other, finding that core strength as we come into warrior two. And then we'll lower our hands on down. We're going to turn our feet more parallel. So get yourself pretty set. We're going to have our feet parallel here and bring our arms out from our shoulders a little bit higher. And then we're going to bring our left arm on top of our right and give ourselves a hug, or go right on into your eagle wrap if you choose. So just be mindful. Take time there just to enjoy releasing your shoulders. You know, you can feel your feet in the floor. If you like to bend your knees a little bit, do. Let yourself just enjoy one more breath. Go ahead and unwind your arms. Stretch them back out long again, a little higher than your shoulders. 5-pointed star there. And then bring your right arm on top of your left. Give yourself a hug or head on into that eagle wrap if you choose. And if any of you from the eagle wrap want to come forward, you can. You know, if you'd rather undo your arms before you come into that forward bend, go right ahead and do it. If you like to be wrapped, you can go with the knees bent about parallel to the floor. Might want to just hang out there and feel the weight of the arms hanging down, or you might want to go upside down and pull your elbows up towards your belly. Sometimes that can be fun or not fun, right? So be mindful, take your time. If you need to unwind your arms, by all means do. Sometimes just going back to hugging feels great when you've done an eagle in this pose with your arms for a while, but then you just hold your own shoulders a little bit. be mindful. Let your arms come undone if you haven't already. And then walk out with your hands, either to blocks or the floor, to find a nice long flat back. Right? So your hands can be on blocks, they can be on the floor. Feel the feet pressing gently away from each other now, and let your inner thighs release behind you. And we're going to bring our right hand on up to our low back and roll that shoulder up, coming into twist here. Now, your right level there at your sacrum. If your arm can stretch up, go right ahead. If your right arm can stretch up, go ahead and do it. If you'd rather keep it down, do. And then we'll come on down with that hand, and we're going to switch. Left hand comes up to the sacrum, rolling that shoulder up. You're level there, right where your hand is. You've got the twist in the middle of your back. And you can reach your arm up if it feels good to do that. Not everybody's shoulders want to do that one. And then come on back down. Let yourself release now wherever feels good. If you want to do the traditional hands between your feet, hands shoulder distance apart, elbows gently hugging in, shoulders drawing away from your ears. Or maybe you know, no, that's not comfortable and I need support. I want blocks. I want to have my hands or arms on blocks. Now watch your breath. Just watch the breath. Find those little spaces between your breaths and imagine you're totally relaxing in those little spaces between your breaths. And sometimes when you do that, it's almost like you get lost there in the little spaces between your breaths. One more breath. And we are going to walk our hands back out. We're going to walk back to our right foot to come on back into lunge and make our way on back into downward facing dog pose. And you're on your own. Again, if you want to do vinyasas or kriyas, or perhaps you'd rather put your knees down and rest in child's pose. Maybe you'd like to do something else. Maybe you'd like to work a little bit on opening your hips. Maybe you'd prefer to stay in dog. Let yourself just find dog for a few breaths. Let dog be almost like a resting pose, right? So just be mindful. Good. And finish off to meet back in down dog when you've got yourself evened out. If you're doing two sides of something, get yourself evened out. Come on back into down dog. We're going to bring our left foot forward. We're going to come into lunge. You might want your blocks here. So bring your blocks maybe underneath your hands. Let yourself get set up in your lunge there. And let's add a twist of choice. So letting your left hand come to your low back, or stretching your arm up, or coming into twisted prayer if you'd rather. Bringing that right elbow across to the left knee. Enjoy that wonderful feeling of the whole body in this lunge and a twist. And then bring yourself on back to lunge. We're going to straighten the front leg out and find pyramid pose. Lowering that back heel down. Extending the torso out over that front leg. And now we're going to pull upward with our thighs. Lift upward so you feel that sense of space in your knees. Make sure that back heel is fully grounded. And if possible, think about lifting all your toes up. You know, the back toes are pretty hard sometimes to lift up, but if you can, try to float all your toes up. Then let all the toes float back down. If you like to fold over your leg, you may. You can go ahead and let go for a second there. Not everybody thinks that feels so good. Be where you can. Good, and then come back up more parallel to the floor, and let's go ahead and do a revolve triangle with our left hand on our hip there, rolling that shoulder up. So that same twist that you did with a lunge, but now you're in your pyramid, of course. And you can stretch the top arm up. If you're like, I want to go just a little bit with my hand towards the outside of my right foot, you're more than welcome to bring your hand across to the outside of your left foot there, and let yourself come into your Revolve Triangle there, right? So that's a big major balance thing. Do what feels good to you. And then come on down with your hand. Now from here, we're going to find a regular lunge, bend the front knee, send your blocks out farther in front of you. You may want to go highest height with them, because from here, you're going to attempt to shift on up into a warrior three, floating that right leg on up in the air, turning the toes down towards the ground. Go ahead and bend both your knees for a second, but let the right foot be up like you're putting a footprint on the ceiling. So you're just kind of giving yourself a little break there. And then go ahead and come back to your full warrior three. See if you can bring your left hand up to your chest. If not, don't do it. And then see if you can bring your left hand up to your low back to check your alignment there, to be level. Keep flexing through the back foot. Good. One more breath. And we're going to step on back into lunge from here. So you might want to bring your blocks back and then get yourself on back into your lunge. And we're going to come on back into downward facing dog pose. Once you're in your dog, bring your feet a little closer together. Lift your left leg up in the air. Bend your knee and open your hip. Stack that left hip on top of the right. Let your right heel descend towards the floor. You can pull the heel in if you want more. And then extend the leg long. Turn the toes back down towards the floor and lower that foot down. We're going to go the other side. Right leg up, knee bends. And then again, you think of stacking that hip. You can look under your right arm if you want. You can pull your heel towards your buttocks if you want more in your quad. And then stretch the leg long. Turn the toes down. Bring the foot down. You're on your own. Do what feels good. You want to do vinyasas or kriyas, go for it. You're going to put your knees down, go for that. Just for another breath or two. Yeehaw. And then finish off and meet back in down dog. And this time we're going to bring our right foot forward. We're coming into lunge. So remember, setting up for a twist at first. Just an easy twist. You can do twisted prayer if you want. So you can bring your left elbow across to that right knee, or you can just let yourself bring your right hand to your low back or stretch the arm up. But again, just really enjoy. Feel the whole length of the body in this pose, all the way out through the top of the head, all the way back through the inner heel. Beautiful. And then bring the hand on back down, and we're going to find a pyramid here, straightening the front knee out, bringing our torso out over that front leg. Thighs are now lifting up like crazy. Space in your knees, back heel grounded. You can try to lift all your toes up. Again, quite a challenge, the back foot usually. Much more. And then the front foot, just make sure you're not rolling to the outside of the foot. And then if you like to fold forward over your leg, go for it. If that bowing forward feels really good to you. Don't do it though if it's too much. Give the legs time to adjust. Good. We're going to come back up and more parallel to the floor. We're going to add that twist here, that revolve triangle. Right hand to the right hip, rolling that shoulder up. Now, if you want more, you can think of coming back to put the hand, left hand across to the outside of that right foot. If you're in your revolve triangle and you like the top arm to come up, you can. Again, don't force it. Lengthen out through the top of your head. Feel the thighs engaging upward. Good. We're going to turn back down to look at the floor. Bring our hands on down. Bring yourself into a little lunge, but shift the blocks forward. And again, it's like you're going to launch yourself, right? You got to really press off that back foot, rising into your warrior three. Bend both your knees a little bit. Let the left foot just look up like you're putting a footprint on the ceiling so that it feels easy. And then go ahead and lengthen into your warrior three. Turn the toes down. If you can bring your right hand up to your chest, do. If it feels good to go ahead and lay your hand on your back there, Just checking your alignment to make sure your hips are pretty level there. You can really do anything you want with your hands. You can practice both hands off the blocks if you want. Good, one more breath. And then from here, we're going to come back into that lunge. So take your time, let your blocks help you. Come on back very gracefully into that lunge. And we'll come on back to down dog. And you're on your own. Vinyasas are Kriya's last ones here if you want to do any. So if you prefer not to, don't. Put your knees down and rest if you like. Good. Good, and we're going to meet back in downward facing dog pose. And let's widen our feet a little bit, walk our hands back. Now you decide what kind of a squat you want to do right now. You may want to stay up, elbows above your knees. You may want to put your hands behind your feet or to the outside of your ankles, or you may want to come forward with your hands. Just get really where you feel really released in your hips and your low back. And breathe. Enjoy feeling that ease of the low back and the hips releasing just from being in the pose. Good. And then we're going to slowly rise on back up and get our feet right underneath us. Get your feet hips distance apart. Really set up for your mountain pose at your feet here. And then imagine that you're just going to grow up out of those rooted feet. So press into the feet and slowly start to grow your way on up into your mountain pose. Arms starting to float up. Once you get up there, all the way up overhead. And then when the hands come down through the midline, the top of the head just floats up higher, but you're very grounded through your feet. And it is like you are just floating there in space. Just let yourself enjoy the energy flowing through the body. Let the breath be maybe a little light, right? You're not forcing any breath. And then we'll go ahead and let our arms come on down beside us. Shake out, move around a little bit. And we're going to bring our mats to a wall. There's a few of us here, but we can do it. 1, 2, 3 on that wall. So you can be there, Charlotte. Kelly, you're there. Lynette, you can go over here with Marcy. And Tom, you can bring yours all the way up here. So, I wonder who came in and left. Was it Randy, do you think? All right, so let me move my jump. So bring everything with you. We're staying. This is it for the rest of class. We're going to stay in this spot. So, and we're going to do, we just kind of got prepared to do this. Let's see how it works out, okay? We're going to let ourselves turn to face the wall. But be really mindful of this because it's a really deep hamstring stretch, okay? Oh, Kelly, you're leaving.
Yeah, thanks.
Hey, good luck.
Thanks.
Okay, so we'll bring ourselves with left foot up the wall. Now, if you start to come into this pose like this with your foot up the wall and your knees bent or both knees are bent, you can stay with your knees bent, right? Or you can decide you can straighten the legs up. You don't want your foot higher than your hip, right? And if you need to turn your toes out a little bit, that's fine. But just make sure that you're not getting your leg way up higher than your hip. It's really more just directly forward of your hip. And then bring your arms up overhead. See if you can balance there. Finding yourself into standing with this nice posture, really supported by that supporting leg. And now on your next exhale, bring yourself forward and reach towards the wall. If you need to bend a knee, do. Sometimes bending the supporting knee is better than bending the top knee. But let yourself reach towards the wall, coming into really kind of a pretty deep hamstring stretch there. And then see if you can rise back up to the top. Now that's the hard part. Use your core body to lift back up to arms overhead. And then one more time, we're going to fold forward, reaching towards the wall, coming out over that leg. Let yourself maybe go a little further if you can. One more breath. And now your hands are on the wall. You're going to swing this top leg down and behind you to that warrior three we just practiced, right? So let yourself come into warrior three there. Feel the hands on the wall. Let yourself turn the toes down towards the floor. Good. One more breath. And now come up and swing that leg forward and put your left foot on the floor right in front of the wall. You're going to come into a little mini lunge. If you can curl your toes up the wall, do it. And then bend that front knee and really get into keeping that right heel on the floor, coming into a really deep stretch there for your calf, the back of the leg. So just stay there for a breath. You got control. You don't have to go to forearms. You can just stay hands on the wall. You can bend deeper in that knee if you want to get it closer to the wall. One more breath. And then step on back from the wall. Work through your feet a little bit before we do the other side. You can kind of turn to the toes a couple of times. Good. And we're going to do the other side. We're stepping that right foot up the wall this time. So again, you got to get that supporting leg, and you guys were really well aligned. So you don't want the left foot too far behind you or too far to the wall in front of you, because then it makes it really hard to stand, right? That post leg is so important where it's at. If you can bring your arms up overhead, do. Let yourself, just enjoy feeling that lift. Good. Coming forward towards the wall when you're ready. You can bend whatever knee you want. You can bend both knees if you want. So be where you can there for a breath. Now, the hard part is coming back up from there. So see if you can rise back up with your arms overhead. Really using your core. That's what gets you up there, back with arms overhead, where you're not on the wall anymore. And then when you come forward again, let yourself reach forward. Use the wall as much as you need. Maybe you can go a little bit deeper over the leg. That's totally up to you. Good. And now place your hands in the thought that you're going to swing that leg down and back behind you into warrior three. And sometimes it takes a little adjustment. You can bend your elbows, obviously. You can decide that, I want to adjust a little bit different. Maybe you want to play with not even having your hands on the wall. You want to play that way, go for it. You can balance and take one hand off the wall, bring both hands off, reach behind you, whatever works. Good. So one more breath. And now we're going to swing that leg forward and bring the foot to the wall. If you can curl your toes up the wall, do. Keep that left heel right behind your foot and down on the ground. And then when you bend that front knee, you really get into your calf there. So take your time. Let it feel good. Feel like you're drawing your hip pointer bones towards each other a little bit. Good. One more breath. And now we're going to come on back towards the wall. And again, do whatever your feet need you to do. It could be any number of things. You can work through your feet a little bit. We are going to come down, though, onto our bellies on the floor. So letting yourself release on down. And lie on your belly. Rest your forehead on your hands for a second. Be able to stretch yourself out long so that you can put the tops of the feet on the floor and be able to stretch your feet out that way. Good. And now, just from here, bring your right arm out beside you, straight out from your shoulder. Bring your left hand in like you're going to do a push-up. Now, if you need to, when you press into this left hand to roll to your right side, you might need to let that right arm go a little lower. You might need to change it just a little bit. You're trying to just open through the right side of your chest a bit. And some of you will want to roll to the side and keep that left leg kind of just up there. Some of you might want to bend the left knee and put the foot on the floor behind your right leg with the knee up in the air, which gets in quite a bit into the back, not just the chest here. And then come on back, roll back down to center. Bring your right hand in like you're doing a push-up, left arm out beside you. Press into that right hand and roll to your right side knee. You can just keep the legs long. You don't have to go deep to feel something across the side of your chest here. Again, if you want to bend that right knee and put the foot on the floor and let the knee kind of go up towards the ceiling, that's another story, but not for everybody, but it might feel good to some of you. One more breath. And then come on back into center again here now. From here, bend both your knees. Let yourself reach your arms down alongside you, right? Turn your palms down towards the ground. Float your head up just a little bit. Now flex your feet. And you decide. You might just want to float your hands off the floor. It's kind of like a version of a bow pose without actually getting your feet, right? You may go, well, I just assume get my feet. It makes it easier. So if you want to get your feet, you can. And if you want to press your feet into your hands and lift your feet up a little bit, you can go up a little higher into bow. Good. Try to release your neck. Try not to tense up your neck too much. So sometimes looking down a little more than looking forward feels better. One more breath. And then we're going to come on down. Let's slide our forearms right underneath us. Clasp our hands. Shift our way back. And then just walk yourself back to get your toes to touch the wall. And we're going to lift up into Dolphin Pose now, which should feel pretty much like a relief. Coming into Dolphin, heels up the wall. You know you are more than welcome to come down and readjust. You are more than welcome to bring a foot up the wall if you want to. Or if you're like, I don't want to be on forearms, I want to be on my hands, you can do that. You can do dog with your hands on the floor instead of your forearms. Playing with your inversion, right? Where you'd like to be. And don't overdo, especially if you haven't done yoga in a while and you ate a lot of turkey. When you rest however feels good to you. You can come into child's pose. You can rest with your head up above your heart if that feels better to you. Good. And then we're going to slowly now make our way all the way up and around to sitting. So come on around, and if you know that sitting on a blanket feels better for you, let yourself sit on a blanket. We'll do a little half cow face or cow face, bringing our right leg forward and folding our left as close as possible, thigh towards thigh, knees being as close together as possible. If this doesn't work for your hips, you know, don't do it. You can do a figure four if you'd rather. If you're in this half cow face and you think, oh, I think it sounds really good to fold my bottom leg under me and come into a full cow face, then you can do that, right? So you pick where you want to be there. Because we're just at first actually going to lift we've got our left leg on top, right? We're going to bring our right arm up overhead. Let yourself really look forward and then bend your elbow, put your hand behind your head or onto your upper back. And then go ahead and bring your left hand on around behind you. And again, you can rest it on your low back. You can think about sending your hands towards each other if you want. No, it's not necessary. Just feel your shoulders for a breath. Good. And then go ahead and bring your arms on down. We're going to come forward just a little bit. Now, if you're in the half cow face, it's going to put a lot into that hamstring, right? So just be mindful. If you keep the heel on the ground, drawing back towards you. If you're in a full cow face and it feels good to kind of fold yourself over that front thigh, do. And just be mindful. Let yourself breathe. Take your breath to where you need it. So if you're feeling a really tight place somewhere in your back, or a tight place in the hip, or a tight place in the back of your leg, just imagine breathing into that place. So one more breath. And then we'll slowly come on back up. I don't think I want to know what that comment was, but maybe it was if you feel a tight place in your whole body, then what do? Take a nice inhale. And now as you exhale, twist to your left. Come on around. Let yourself just lengthen up. Feel the back of your throat nice and long. And top of the head just floating upward. Let it feel so easy. One more breath. And then use your belly to come on back around into center. And we're going to switch legs. So stretch your legs out for a second. And again, if you want to do the half cow face, the left leg is long. You can do the figure 4 with the crossing your ankle above or below your knee. You can think about getting your knees more lined up, being in your half cow face here. Or again, maybe you feel like I want to try folding my leg under and just to see how it feels. So just be mindful. Remember, sitting up on something often helps. If you're up higher, it'll help in this pose. Left arm's going to come up overhead. The elbow's going to bend. Now try to really keep your gaze forward. Even if your hand's on the top of your head like that, instead of down like that, try not to hunch forward here, right? It's really almost like your heart is coming a little bit forward. And then right hand comes behind you. You can just rest the hand on your back. You don't have to think about reaching those hands towards each other. But just really let this openness happen in the chest. Breathing. Nice full breaths, but almost feeling more open in your heart, really. Just draw the knees in and bring them side to side, whatever feels good in your hips. And then if a little happy baby pose, once you get kind of comfortable there, if you can send the feet up, maybe a little happy baby, maybe holding your feet, maybe not, and you can roll around. Now me, I like to come into happy baby and let one leg get long and the other one stay bent, so that it just feels so good to me to be in this position and be able to let one leg go long. So, and of course you can come into a wide angle from a happy baby really easily too. Or listen to your own body. Maybe there's something else. Maybe you want to do some cross-country skiing on the ceiling again. Maybe you want to do a plow pose. Maybe you want to come into another back bend, a bridge pose, or a twist. Right? Really, we all feel differently after all the poses we just did. So there's no one secret key to making everything feel better, is there? So just let your body sort of dictate what sounds good to you just by doing it. Not thinking about doing it, really, just doing it. Just letting yourself just naturally allow your body to do it. I'm going to start to walk around, but that doesn't mean you need to rush. Take your time, just getting the lights, and then I will start to bring stuff for anybody who thinks a little bit of support would sound good. Remember, I've got all of these props, all of these blankets, all of these bolsters. They can be used according to what sounds good to you, what would help you feel better. At me if there's something that sounds like it would feel good to you. A blanket for under your head, or a bolster for under your knees. As you start to kind of wiggle your way into Shavasana, just accept where your body's at. And then just start to accept your breath. Nothing you need to do in order to breathe. And the breath is going to adjust and change when it needs to. But if you can, when you do come back from the thoughts that enter your head, when you do come back to your breath, watch it going in and out, and it will become quieter, and that affects your brain, and it definitely affects your physical body as well. So just give yourself the gift, trusting that your body will get what it needs, just by you allowing yourself to completely and fully relax.